Hey everyone, welcome to Can't Afford to Record, the YouTube channel where we figure out the art of audio production together. I was in bed last night thinking about my journey in audio production and what's changed for me, what sort of perspectives have shifted. And I think one of the biggest ones was just not sweating the small stuff. And we hear and see people talk about it all the time, but losing sleep over a reverb being 35% wet or 40% wet, that kind of stuff. And I felt this especially when I was really learning about compressors and compression in general. And I used to find myself sort of like just going between like 15 milliseconds and 20 milliseconds and then like, does it sound better? Doesn't it sound better? And all of this. And so it was agonizing, really. And what it did for me was really just suck out the creativity. And my analogy with this is if you play guitar in a band, and when you gig and perform, you make people very happy, you have needed to memorize a handful of chords, maybe G, C, D, E minor, all on the guitar. You can play those chords and play songs that make people very happy when you perform. But you don't have to know what notes live inside that chord or which note is the major third or which one's the fifth in order to play guitar in a band. Now, that doesn't mean to say it's not helpful to know that stuff, but you don't need to know that stuff in order to play the songs. And I feel that's a little bit the same when it comes to stuff in mixing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's helpful to know about attack and release times, but more so to use them as tools to get the sound that you're after, not just moving the parameter or the knob sort of without knowing about it, hoping that eventually you'll find that magic sound. It's kind of unlikely to happen. And like I say, it just sucks the fun and creativity out of it. So what I wanted to do today was share some of my favorite compressors that are not hard to use at all and really, take no thinking. It's just maybe dialing in, a couple of the controls and you've got a really good sound. I'm going to use a song today called Are You Happy? It's actually a song that I released with my friend Danny Young. So if you enjoy hearing the bits of audio you do today, you might want to go and check out the rest of the song if you want. So the first compressor I want to show you is Arox. Obviously, as the name suggests, it sounds fantastic on vocals, but I actually use it on acoustic guitar. Okay, so let's just have a listen to this acoustic guitar. I'm going to take off Arox for a second and we're just going to solo this. Okay, so let's put the Arox on. Now, obviously, there is a volume increase there, which doesn't help for what we're listening out for. But for me, something I keep coming back to with compression is I just think of the word energy. How much more energy am I getting out of that piece of audio now? Let's see if we can level match it a bit more. For me, it's just adding a bit more body to the sound. It's a very quick compressor and it sounds fantastic on vocals. People use it all the time, but like I said, I quite like to use it on acoustic guitars. It just gives me that snappiness that I sometimes feel like I want, especially to get that sort of percussive acoustic thing that sounds so good on pop rock songs. So sometimes I set this compressor up by grabbing these two controls together by holding shift and then pulling it down until I get the level of compression I want, and then I adjust the makeup volume here. Really easy to use. I don't just use it on vocals, I use it on guitars, drums sometimes. Yeah, I'm not afraid to use this on a lot of stuff. So another wonderful compressor I love to use is called Arox. I think this is actually a guitar based compressor. Is it? Let's have a little look. What does the manual say? Renaissance Axe is an easy to use compressor that delivers high quality dynamics processing to any track. It is particularly well suited for instruments such as guitar and basses. Very much the same as Arox, isn't it? There is an attack control. I never touch it. But let's just see what energy we can introduce to these electric guitars here. So this is without the Renaissance Axe. Let's put it on and see what we can get. I'm going to do that thing where I put the two controls together. It's also really fun to use this plugin on drums. Now, the drums that I'm working with right now are some mono drums. It's from a Boss drum machine. That was sort of the concept behind this song and future songs. Let's see what happens if I put the Renaissance Axe on these mono drums. Hear how much longer and juicier that snare drum gets? It's cool. I mean, and that's on digital programmed 1990s drum machine type vibe. It sounds incredible on a full, you know, real drum kit. We'll stick with the drums and I'm going to show you Devil Lock. This is the one I have for Devil Lock. It's like the junior version. It's not the bigger one. It's like the mini Devil Lock. A little goes a long way with this guy. Already it's like added volume. Now listen to the claps with this on. It's just two controls I'm using, but I love it because it's simple and it's easy to find, you know, to look for that texture. And you're not like going like, okay, is it better like this or is it better like this? Like, oh my God, it drives me insane. The Smasher from Pulsar Audio, it is a modded 1176. All the buttons are pushed in, okay? There's no other options here. See, all of these plugins, they all do kind of the same thing, but they're just a little different. I mean, they're aggressive compressor plugins for sure. Okay, last one I want to show you today is the Townhouse from Plugin Alliance. Now, this plugin has a few more options, okay? So we've definitely got more options when it comes to attack and release. But the thing about why I like the attack and release on this is that they are stepped, right? They're pre-set attack and release. So that's 30 milliseconds. Or we can have 10 milliseconds, okay? But we can't have 20, okay? So it's your options are there. You just got to find what works best for you. Quite often when I am using a compressor on the whole mix, I'm going to have a 30 millisecond attack time and I go for the quickest release time. You could also put it on auto and let the plugin decide what it's going to do. And then you just got to adjust your threshold until you're seeing the right amount of compression that you want. And then you adjust your makeup gain.
Now you're thinking about the days you left behind. Now you're thinking about the ways you could have tried. Now you're thinking about the way this life could be. But when you add it all together now, are you happy?
Nice and easy to use. I'm going to try not to use the word. I do really like this stereo mix compressor, and I do believe that it adds a bit of low mids back in, bring some low mids up. That's what I really like it for. So they are some of my favorite easy to use compressors. Couple of dials, couple of controls, find the sound you want, let your creativity take over, move on to the next track, move on to the next thing you want to work on. Stop agonizing over the smallest movements and the smallest numbers, because that's no fun. And I really truly believe when I changed that, when I started mixing fast, when I started just using simple plugins that I liked, instead of using like ones that seemed very confusing to me just because I saw someone else using them, when I started thinking about what sound do I want, how am I going to achieve it, and using the plugins that felt comfortable to me to use, I started having so much more fun when mixing. So anyway, there you go. So do you have any simple plugins that you absolutely adore using and you will use for the rest of time? You know, they could be reverbs, delays, you name it, EQs. Yeah. If you have some that you want to recommend or that you really love using, definitely let me know. And if you like today's video, you're more than welcome to leave me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you like it more than that, then you can subscribe right here on Can't Afford to Record. And I'll see you soon.